Wow, it's a very non-spooky edition of the Uniball Show, episode 5. We'll be doing a week 3 preview, and we're not doing it tomorrow for the purpose of, let's be honest, you're all just going to be out. You're not going to watch the show, so we might as well do it today. So at least there's a hope that you will watch this show, or watch it on Friday, or watch it on Saturday. In fact, when you go to your Halloween parties tomorrow, do you know what you should do? You should put it on. Get the orcs, put the show on. Tell them to follow Depth Chart Sports. Tell them, basically go up to them and be like, you want some game balls, don't you? You do. You really do, don't you? So go into the competition, win some game balls, win a signed picture of me, allegedly, and, you know, all the rest of the stuff. Teb's here with Jamie and Cam. SJ's not here because he's doing stuff. What are you going to say, Jamie?
Allegedly?
He's hand delivering.
Yeah, there you are.
Is this
I'm not hand delivering it.
Allegedly, we're getting 5,000 followers.
Well, the problem is I've been so gung ho on the hot tub thing at 5,000 followers that I sort of have to follow through with it now. Considering that I didn't think we'd get there this quickly, which means, you know, I'd like to do a hot tub, you know, in, you know, a nice climate. Instead, I'm going to be probably doing it in the winter, which is peak.
In your bath.
In my no. The problem. No, it's not going to be allegedly. People in the comments. No, I will do it, but. You know, it's just be very weird because I've got to rent somewhere with a hot tub, and then I've got to, you know.
I think they're talking about the signed picture. I think they're worried that they're entering.
Oh, no. That's fine. Obviously, people don't want that bloody
picture of you in a hot tub.
Well, I have got a picture of me in a hot tub.
No,
there we go.
That's what's getting sized.
It could be.
If we get to 10,000 comments by the end of Sunday, he'll do the picture of him in a hot tub.
Why? No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Why do people want a picture of me in a hot? Why do people want me in a hot tub? We've already had Jed put me in a paddling pool to do an interview. I don't know.
There we go. See, the people want it. The people want it.
No. Right. It's week 3. There are some great matchups happening on Sunday. I mean, we're going to talk about all of them, and we are going to start with the National Premiership, as we tend to do. It is going to be the UE Bullets travelling to Loughborough. I mean, let's be honest, UE looked really good against Leeds Beckett, but I mean, Leeds Beckett didn't look good at all, let's be completely honest. And Loughborough, 29 points to the Nottingham Gold. I think this is, obviously the Bullets, I think we all think the Bullets will win here, but I think it's going to be a test to see what Loughborough can do, considering that, again, their main competition here is Leeds Beckett.
I mean, I guess the 29-0 score from Notts, it's just really a question of, are Loughborough better than we think, or are Notts worse than we think? That's all it boils down to. Here's
the thing, I don't think it's a case of that, you know, like, when you bring in loads of people, you can have these instances of, it's week 1 for them. Do you know what I mean? Well, like, we can't really judge everyone fully off of week 1. Obviously, I know that that's what, you know, sort of what our job is here, is to sort of extrapolate things from what we've seen, what we've heard.
Well, I what I said on Monday night about that, whereas I think that Nottingham are the type of team that will just try new things, and they'll go, let's see what we can do. And they'll get better and better and better. So it's similar type as a Durham. They don't need to come out all guns blazing because they won.
Yeah, no, that's it. It'll be good to see whether Loughborough can kind of concede less than 62 points. You know, now UWE have had a game to warm up as well.
Okay then. What do we think? Do we think Loughborough can concede less than 62?
I think they can. I'm not sure if they will. Like,
Jamie, what do you think?
I think it'll be close. I think that's about the level now.
What, bog standard level?
No, like, I think that, like, I don't think we're going to get bigger scores than a 62. maybe get into the 70s. But I think that's about the difference between the teams. And I think that Loughborough and Leeds are of a very similar level, if not Leeds being better.
There you go. I think that's Arch then. Lads, they got shut out and 29 points scored on them. Yeah, but that's why it's like Nottingham Gold and UE. It's obviously that's the toss up, right? Is between them and then wait. No. But then obviously we've got to wait for Durham here. I mean, that's sort of the big question mark. Even with the second game, Notts Gold versus Leeds Beckett, I think then the question of that becomes: are Nottingham Gold going to get close to that 62-point mark to really show an evenness here with the
Yeah, I mean, that second game is a little bit more interesting because it does depend on how Leeds Beckett can bounce back. I'm not one to kind of talk about rumours, but atmosphere-wise, I've heard the post Leeds Beckett wasn't the greatest. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of bounce back from a loss.
Oh, I could say that it didn't seem like there was atmosphere really at all there from Leeds Beckett. I mean, me and SJ were there. Like, it really didn't seem like it was sort of very, very deflating.
That goes with what we said, though, doesn't it? In that Leeds felt like a team that a load of good players that have been pieced together and don't play together.
Yeah, I'd say that's sort of the vibe I get is that it's like the players that have got experience are Raptors, and I think we thought it was going to be a lot more cohesive when they actually start to play, but it turns out that is not been the case. No, because that's just hearsay at this point, Cameron. You dork. Yeah, Cam, we all know this. All know this, okay?
Apologies.
Bloody hell, this guy out here trying to look at all this news that I've got. Should I talk about it? No, because we don't know if the general public know that. Of course, we know it. This guy thinks he's this guy who's going to come in, reveal all Leeds' secrets. And he doesn't talk about one Leeds side. What a criminal! Speaking of Leeds. Speaking of Leeds, the team that beat them last week, 17-14, the Northumbrian Mustangs taking on the NTU Renegades. Again, as much as I think for me, this will be the game with just how much sort of ferocity I will back the Northumbrian Mustangs, because NTU didn't lose by a whole lot to Warwick last week, but Northumbria didn't lose that much to Leeds. I think this is a real. It's an opening, very, very strong test for both NTU and Northumbria, despite the fact that the Mustangs are, currently 1-0 up on the season.
Yeah, no, agree. Obviously, Northumbria stronger than expected, and NTU did lose to Warwick, but it was a close game. I don't recall the score off the top of my head. If Tebs, you can help.
Yep, give me a second, Cam.
I think that NTU and Warwick, we've all discussed about how we think that they're probably the leaders of that division. So, yes, it was close, but I think that NTU will outclass Northumbria now. And I might eat my words on that one, but I think that just because NTU lost last week doesn't mean that
14-10.
Exactly.
So yeah, really close game. Like Northumbria very, very well drilled, very well coached. So it'll be definitely interesting to see if Northumbria can come back from an early loss in the season like this. It's all about mentality, really.
I mean, NTU aren't going to back down, but again, considering that I think that there's some level of something again, but with NTU it's just a gut feeling here, and I think this game is going to be able to. If they fall to 0-2, then it's a very, very large question mark to sort of come back from that. And then the Mustangs, with all due respect to Northumbria, I know that they did meme me a fair bit over the week for picking Leeds over them in such a sort of antagonistic matter, that if the Mustangs beat the Renegades, as far as I'm concerned, the Mustangs have already done better than I thought they were going to do this year. 1-0 is fine. 1-0 is fine on the season, but 2-0, that's already better. Sorry, Northumbria. I did not think that you would do that well this year, and I've made that pretty clear for in the off season, we're already doing better. So moving on to the Southern Prem, terrible time. They're 0-2 after getting 46-14 last week against the Cobras, and obviously getting absolutely demolished by the Burners. It's not looking particularly fantastic for Portsmouth, and they're going to be the first team to welcome the SGS Pride into the 25-26 season.
I think it could be messy. It could get messy.
Yeah,
three games on the bounce for Portsmouth isn't easy at all. And then to come up against SGS that we all know love a scrap, shall we say. I don't think it's going to be an enjoyable time for the Portsmouth players that have made it so far into the season already.
No, that's it. You're coming into arguably, the second hardest fixture in that run, or hardest fixture, some would argue. And you're already down 2 games. You go 0-3, and I don't know how much of a break they have afterwards, but you've got to hope there's some kind of reset coming afterwards.
I imagine that's what it'll be. I mean, if they go down, that's going to be a massive surprise. Obviously, all of us have picked SGS to win this game. Not much of a surprise there. Has anyone picked Northumbria for the?
You and SJ.
Yeah, you and SJ did, I think.
Have I? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's understandable, though.
I'll tell you what's crazy. Your prediction for the other Prem South game.
Well, we're going to move on to that. We're going to move on to that right now. We're going to move on to it. I mean, let's be honest. Very, very happy that we've got this one live streamed, all locked up, ready to go. 1 p.m. on Sunday. It is the currently 1-0 Cardiff Cobras travelling to Site 5 to take on the Brunell Burners. And you know what? You two, tell me why. Tell me why it's such a crazy pick.
I don't think it's as crazy as Jamie might make it out to be. It's not entirely ridiculous. Just with the quality that Brunel have, I don't see it happening. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I just think Brunel will outmatch everyone in the division except for maybe SGS.
But for me, Brunel let themselves down in that first game a little bit more. You speak about how their coaches spoke, you speak about how their backroom staff spoke. They let themselves down in the first half and killed themselves by not absolutely annihilating with flags and penalties. And if they've got them sorted, like I would imagine that they might come out and do a lot better with, I think it could get to the levels that people expected, or what we expected Brunel to be at the beginning of the season. Not saying it was a universal thought, but I think as a general consensus, we all thought that Brunel would be extremely strong.
Yeah, that's radical. That's real cool, gents. Don't care. Cardiff up. Brunel lame. Let's be real. Not much going on. Cardiff, it's always wet there. If it rains on Sunday, done. Burners, done. Mud. That unbeaten streak, toilet. Absolute toilet. Cardiff, I mean, looked impressive. I'm happy with them. There was all this rumours. Oh my god. Cardiff have an American QB. They don't. They literally do not. But the fear in the eyes. SJ, really cool. SJ, really cool guy. Coach James, really cool guy. Jelinski, cool guy. Cole McFarland, cool guy. Give me the Cobras. I mean, I'm excited to watch it, and I'm happy that I'm going to be there to actually visualize it. Don't have to. I can just close my eyes and pretend Cardiff won, even if they didn't, right? So as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to going down there, and you can catch it at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Cardiff win. There's a statue of me. Yes, I am. So moving on to the Division 1 North. In the Scottish 1, Glasgow versus Edinburgh. All of us have gone for Glasgow. I mean, after last week, can't see much of a surprise. Edinburgh not playing last week because of Aberdeen not being able to do it. So it'll be interesting to see if Aberdeen, they are going to be hosting the Stirling Klansmen this weekend.
I'm not so confident that game will happen either. But
I mean, even after Sterling getting thrashed 35-0 by Napier, I'd still give it to Sterling. But I mean, back to Glasgow. Glasgow-Edinburgh has been a great rivalry over these last few years. But I mean, Glasgow seem like definitely as it stands right now in week 3, the second place team in the Scottish one.
Yeah, no, it kind of agree. They looked strong last week. Kind of, obviously played very well, but be interesting to see kind of how they do against this Edinburgh team.
And I mean, like even for the third Scottish game, we've all gone for the Napier Knights again. Realistically, shutting out Sterling 35 points, and Heriot Watt definitely do seem like they are on a bit of a down slope. I don't think there's much to really talk about on that one. Obviously, we'll have Ramon on the show on Monday to talk about more about it.
No, you don't. I think that becomes the highest margin game of the weekend.
Do you really think so?
I really think that Napier will absolutely bend them over and spank them.
For the question of who won the giveaway is revealed next week, next Thursday, Friday, depending on when we do it. So not this week. So just keep spamming that because I don't have to deal with that. Cam has to deal with that.
10,000 comments on that post, and Teb's signed picture becomes a hot tub picture.
Brilliant. Moving on to the Northern one, Man Met versus the Manchester Tyrants. Let's be honest, it's really annoying to. I'm not sure if I will get flagged for explicit content, but old meme site, very popular Uniball meme site, have labelled it their game of the week, so to speak. And truthfully, if you actually read the caption of that, it's pretty decent work here. I mean, it's who's going to win here? The Man Met Eagles, who demolished Edge Hill last week, or the Manchester Tyrants, who only let the Rams score 10 on them. It's a bit of a toss-up. It's a little bit of a toss-up. I mean, I've gone for Man Met, and so have you, Jamie. While Cam, you've gone for the Tyrants. Realistically, I'd love to see Man Met win this one.
Yeah, what I would like to know is how. I think that Man Met are the real deal this year, and I think that I might get embarrassed by that on the week by this Sunday. But my question is, how haven't Man Met got into your power rankings?
Because they beat Edge Hill.
Yeah, that was the question mark for me. Obviously, Manchester putting up such a strong defense against Lancashire. No. Well, no, we're not over this team. My brother in Christ. Is that a real question you've asked me? No.
I thought they might have scraped to the bottom. Genuinely, I thought they might have scraped in.
What, the top 10 of Div 1?
Yeah.
Man Met after beating Edge Hill?
Yeah, because it was an annihilation.
No.
No.
The way you're speaking, does that mean that the way you are speaking right now is as if they won't get in this week either if they win?
Oh no! If they get in, if they beat the Tyrants, they'll definitely get in. Yeah, 100%. But I don't know. I don't think that beating Edge Hill by that margin is that impressive.
No, that's where the questions for me came. That's why I picked Manchester in the end. I guess the result of this game will kind of dictate whether Edge Hill truly are terrible or if MMU truly are that good.
Well, exactly, but then it goes back to this game will also dictate whether or not the Tyrants have actually got some fuel in the fire, or UClan are maybe not as good as we potentially think they are, and that's exactly what old Uniball platform meme platform said, and they're absolutely correct. It's a probably it's best bit of journalism. Probably this week. I mean, we've not done very well. Can we get Tebs dressed as Jed for Halloween? Yeah, if you send me a 20 Bristol jersey, you can. So the debut of the Nottingham Green, Leicester obviously losing last week 12-0 to the Sabres. I mean, going up against Sabres and the Green here, I think it's got to go with the Green. As much as I'd like, again, it goes when it goes to 0-2, it gets a bit difficult. But I mean, Nottingham Green, I think they're going to have more firepower than Leicester. But Do you think Leicester get on the board this weekend?
No.
Really?
If they couldn't against Sheffield, I don't think they will against Nottingham Green.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Might get a field goal or something where they just like get an interception and get within a field goal range or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Green and Hallam are the favourites to, take the division. Both of them, making the playoffs last year. Hallam on a bit of a late run, beating the Green twice, I believe, once in the once in the postseason as well. So it'd be interesting to see if Green, come back strong here, but going to be difficult for Leicester, especially in that Midlands, where I don't think there was a weak link identified before the season started. But on the other side of the coin, we have got a rematch from the Division 2 North Championship last year. Everyone else has gone for the Sabres, and I've gone for Derby. And I've gone for Derby because Derby need to get this win, because they were in the Div 2 North finals 2 years ago, and they lost to Northumbria. Obviously, that's fine. They lose to the Sabres in the final last season. Derby obviously they win the playoffs. Derby need a big win. They haven't had one in a long time. And if they want to come back into the Midlands one, this is how they put their foot down and stamp it. Derby need a big win. And I think that they've got to understand that, it's not, I don't want to throw the word, choke out there, but I mean, you lose 2 championship finals. Your first game's a rematch because Hallam obviously they were supposed to play Hallam last week. Derby can immediately, put their foot down and say, we're back in D1, much like the Sabres did when they won Division 2 North last year. That's my reasoning for Derby's win here.
I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a close game.
You mentioned... Sorry, go on, Jamie.
No. I don't disagree with what Tebs is saying at all. I just don't think that... I think the Sabres... I think that they're a good side this year. And I think that they'll just be a little bit better, genuinely.
Yeah, agreed. I just want to raise kind of what Tebs said, I guess choke-wise, if Derby lose this, does this make them the Spurs of Uniball? Always choking?
Not this far, no. I mean, they need, because the Northern one could be quite tight, because I anticipate Liverpool to do better, and there's obviously that wild card relegation spot that is, as it stands right now, looking like it could be Leicester because of that shutout loss to the Sabres and Edge Hill. There is that mystery spot here, and because of how hard the Midlands one is, and I don't think Liverpool will fall into it, and I don't think MMU will either. It worries me that Derby might, but I think Derby needs to really, really put pedal to the floor here and come back into D1 with a statement over the team that beat them for the Div 2 North Championship last year.
Yeah, definitely.
So moving on to the Southern, or the Div 1 South. Going to start in the Southeast. UCL Emperors taking on the Brighton Panthers. Brighton obviously moving from the Southern. I think this will be a close game. I do worry about the Southeast too, more so the bottom half of it, because, Kingston... I don't think Kingston are the side that they were last year when they were going on a dominating run, had a bit of a fall off. They very well were looking like they were going to have the 1 seed and go all the way. Just sort of a fall off there. KCL, I think they're still going to be good. And then obviously you've got the Kent Falcons, who are most people's dark horse when it comes to the playoffs. But Brighton and UCL, we could be looking at a very telling game in terms of relegation. UCL hampered last year due to a walkover loss. Not in the same way, obviously, but the same sort of thing that the Kingston Cougars now have to face after conceding the first walkover of the entirety of Uniball of the season due to them not having medics, no matter whose fault that was. But I mean, Brighton and UCL, I think the prevailing sort of theory is that the move from the Panthers to the Southeast has probably saved the Panthers from going down. I like the Panthers here. Me and SJ have gone for Brighton.
Yeah, I think I agree. Close game. I just think Brighton have changed their head coach this year, haven't they? They've had a bit of a shift around, and I think this early in the season, I don't think that they'll be where they want to be. And I just,
I agree with Agree with Jamie, and it's it's a little bit of a trek, Brighton to London. I know that's not a massive factor, but it is a little bit. And Brighton didn't look particularly good last year. I would say they, to be honest, didn't look the greatest in the Southern one, and that is a tough division. But
Yeah.
I guess even moving over to the Southeast, it is a very 50-50 game. I just don't. I agree with Jamie. Bringing in a new head coach, not looking the greatest last season, combined with a bit of travel, it's not the biggest recipe for success.
Yeah, I can't even fault either of your logic there. So we're going to move on to the South East one, where everyone has picked for the KCL Regents. Again, sort of like what I just said, Kingston, they were on a meteoric rise last year, started to fall off, still managed to take the division and get promoted up. KCL looking good. From what I hear, they may have some key losses, but I mean, for me, it's still going to be the Regents.
Yeah, we all picked it. There's not too much to kind of expand on from there, really.
So we're going to move on to the Southwest one, Bournemouth versus Bath. Everyone has gone for Bournemouth. Bournemouth last week against Bristol left a lot of points on the table. I think that there was some very uncharacteristic mistakes from the Bobcats. A fair few turnovers. And to be fair to them, Bristol's defense was very, very good. But going up against the Killer Bees, another team that have had some key losses, players leaving, not losses, so to speak. But I mean, the Killer Bees seem to be, or have historically been, the team that causes Bournemouth the most problems. Somehow, really penetrating that Bournemouth aura that they've managed to cultivate over the last few years. But I don't think that the Killer Bees are going to be able to do that this year.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
I really can't see. I mean, I think when it comes to Bath and Plymouth, they're my two favourites to get relegated. But to be fair, because that's pretty harsh. I haven't seen the Killer Bees play. That scoreline could be telling. Obviously, Bournemouth now -5 down after beating Bristol. And, it really does. It is a case of that Bournemouth have that added pressure to win every game. And I don't think it's going to weigh too heavy on their heads against the Killer Bees.
They would have that mindset of winning every game anyway. It wasn't like they're not a team that would be happy with a 6-2 or a 7-1. They will want an undefeated season even without that points deduction. So,
well, I think it's just obviously the added pressure where now you don't have the luxury of losing a game and still winning your division. You lose your this season, considering that Bournemouth are the prevailing favourites to go up from the South one loss and it's basically done for them. That's where I think the added pressure coming into. So on the other side of the coin, two teams making their 25-26 debut in the Plymouth Blitz and the Southampton Stags. Cam and SJ have gone for the Stags, whilst me and Jamie have gone for the Plymouth Blitz. For me, anyway, Southampton weren't the best team last year, but they did have some bright sparks. I'm just sort of going here on the fact that I thought Plymouth's comeback against OBU in the Div 2 Southern final was absolutely fantastic to watch. And also Southampton travelling to Plymouth, if they're still playing on that same pitch, that's got to be an advantage to Plymouth. And again, a win here for Plymouth, much in the same way it would be for we missed a game. That's crazy. The same way for the Derby Braves. Is that those two runners-up teams need to come in and stamp their foot down immediately with a big win over an established opponent, Plymouth Blitz.
I agree with you entirely. Me and you on that side of the bracket. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back and cover the game that I've unfortunately missed because we were talking too much. That is the Liverpool Raptors versus the Lancashire Rams. Now, I do think that there's as much as I know that there's some negativity here, and that there is a belief that the Raptors will do the Swansea slide and go down to D2, but I don't think they're going to beat the Rams. But I think this is a good test to see where the Rams are after that 10-0 win last week against the Tyrants. I did speak to Coach Bloomfield, and he wasn't happy with the performance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been very vocal about my opinions on the Raptors, so it won't be anyone's surprise that I didn't predict them to win. I think we were all a little bit shocked at the Rams not doing as well as we would have expected last week, and I think that they'll kick on this week. And I really, just really can't get behind the Raptors this year. And yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, they don't look. I mean, Lancashire. It's a question of where Manchester's strong, but I can't imagine them losing to Liverpool. It's just a good test to see where Liverpool are at, really.
Yeah, so moving on to the Northern Two, we've only got 2 games this week, and that is going to start off with the Staffordshire Stallions versus the Lancaster Bombers. I'm the only one to pick for
Oh,
the
you
Stallions.
missed the Southern one.
I did miss. Oh, that's because I was saving it because they're both 2 really good games. As I'm trying, I was trying to do only 1 game for Game of the Week, but this week I'm going to have 3. I'm going to do a video on them at some point tomorrow. So obviously we've got a national championship rematch from almost a decade ago here in the Hurricanes and the Lions. I have been very, very vehemently supportive of the Birmingham Lions. So for me to go against them and pick the Hertfordshire Hurricanes would be disingenuous. So I'm good. That's why I've stayed with the Lions, because this whole off season it's got to be Birmingham. But from things that I've heard, that confidence is waning. But again, it would be very disingenuous of me to just go straight in their first game and pick against them. So I'm going for the Birmingham Lions.
Your love for them is completely unfounded. Makes no sense. I don't know. You explained why you've picked them, but there's no good reason to pick them here over Hearts.
my belief still goes on to last season a little bit, in the sense that that it's not going well when former cult hero Britball Brucey was coaching at the Birmingham Lions and left halfway through the season because he said it couldn't get worse. And if Britball Brucey's saying that, then someone that so passionately defended the Sharks for years, if he's jumping ship after half a season, it's not looking great.
Again, I still think there's something there. I don't think that it's going to be a complete wash. If the Hurricanes do take it, but I've got to I've got to
You got to fall on your sword.
I've got to fall on my sword here. I feel like if I back them this week and they lose, then you know what, that's fine. I can not wash my hands of it, but I can say, hey, I was wrong, blah blah blah. But this whole off season I've been pro Lions, stay pro Lions. Then in the other rivalry renewed game here, we have the first instance of the Cavaliers Cup in quite a few years, with Oxford Brooks taking on the Oxford Lancers. We've all picked for Brooks. Obviously, the Lancers haven't played yet, but Brooks, looking good against UEA. I think Brooks have the power, and it's still a case of my worry for Brooks is, because I don't think they're going to finish this season undefeated. I really don't. Is what are they going to be like after a loss?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, their win last week was impressive. UEA's only points came from a blocked field goal. So, their defense theoretically didn't let up anything, and their offense kept their foot on the gas. So it's a tough one.
Both of these teams are really, really have been pushing for this game for a while. And if you look, if you are, in the area and you've got the time off, I would go down. They've managed to organise an event. They've even got a fan bus transporting people, which, for a Uniball game, fantastic. They've got loads of stuff down there. So, if you are in the area, go down to Tisley Park on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, I think Oxford Brooks coming in, defeating UEA, and then going on to, win a Cavaliers Cup game straight away. I think that is another real impact maker for Oxford Brooks.
Yeah, I agreed.
So apparently we've got some comment. Liverpool are absolutely terrible. So Jamie, you've got some people believing in what you're saying. Jed's in the comments. Ethan Gretz reportedly signing for the CUDA opinions. Well, we've got the picture of him wearing the jersey, so You know,
Him and Tebs are going to go do PhDs together.
Yeah,
he's just sorting some HR things out before he can make any announcement.
Yeah. Jed, why did you have to? Jed, why did you leak that one? Awful. Back to Staffordshire versus Lancaster. Staffordshire did beat Lancaster once last year, if I recall correctly. For me, it's not so much that I'm sort of off the train of the Lancaster Bombers, because I don't think that's true, but I just worry that they may have allowed Staffordshire to, get some of their mojo back.
I don't like that kind of thinking, to be honest. Like, sure, they beat them once last year. It wasn't, it's a strange one. Like, they beat them once. It could have been a lucky win. Chick Hicks won the Piston Cup once. He didn't do it again. That sort of thing.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm talking nonsense. They didn't.
Oh, there we go then.
You've just
That's what I mean. So that's it. Like, your faith in them is unfounded. And was it Kiel that beat Lancaster last year? Then
who was it? I swear that Lancaster. They did beat what? No, they did.
Was it Staffs?
What am I talking about? Sorry, no.
Either Staffs or Kiel beat them.
I might have made a mistake. No, I'm completely wrong. I really thought Lancaster. No. Or did Staffs beat Edge Hill last year?
Either way, harping back to the analogy, Chick Hicks won the Piston Cup once. Doesn't mean he ever won it again. It was complete luck. The other person gave up. And that's how it is, really. There's no universe that I can see where it happens again. And I do correct me if I'm wrong, but, Staffs haven't exactly been very good for quite a number of years now. And I'd be impressed if they suddenly pulled something out of their hat and climbed over Lancaster this year.
They did beat Edge Hill last year. I've got it wrong.
Oh, well, it's Edge Hill.
That would be Div 2 football, though. Like,
that would be Div 2 football.
All it takes is one or two good players, and it could happen.
That's true.
I'm just all about the Lancaster train, and I think that all of the Tebs hype came a year too early. And I think
that's it.
Yeah, that it happens.
Okay. Okay, that's fair enough. That's actually a.
I think you could regurgitate the posts you post. Well, no, you didn't post any posts because we weren't going then. But I think you could say some of the things that you perhaps maybe said in the past about Lancaster and repeat exactly the same thing this year, and it could happen.
Well, the thing is with Lancaster last year, and I said it within that piece, was going into it, their opponents combined had a shot, like over the last X amount of years, didn't have the same win total combined as Lancaster had the previous season. Right? I really. Well, it's on my predictions now, but there is a slight bias because number one, their new kits are nice, and I've got a friend of mine who's playing for them. So, go Staffordshire! Good enough. Moving on to a consensus pick here. York St. John will be going to the Hull Sharks for the Hull Sharks' first game back in Division 2.
Yeah, I'm not going to back Hull that much this year, but I think this is one game which I think it's a bit of an easy pick for everyone. And I know that some feathers might have been ruffled during our conversation about predictions earlier on in the week between someone, but I just don't think that this is going to be a close game. It's YSJ, and that might bite me in the arse, but it's YSJ.
Here's the thing: I think it's a case of if York St. John win, I feel like everyone on this show, and I think probably around Uniball as a whole, will be celebrating. York sounds bad. York St. John regular season wins do not happen all the time. It'd be great if, York St. John come out this year and they are a competitive side. But, they are going up against Hull. Hull, had some energy.
Hull do also have a couple of really good players. Like, there is no doubt on that. I know they've got Ezra that will probably be playing both ways. He'll be playing left tackle and on the D-line. And I think it will take a lot to stop him. He's a GB youth player. And that's where it'll be stuff like that. Reece, the QB, has been there since my second year at the uni. I don't know how he's still at the university, but like you'd like to think that he'll finally have a good season. What I will say is if YSJ beat Hull, Hull will have to go down as the worst team in Uniball this year.
What in week 3?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Aberdeen exist.
I think you have to play a game to be the worst team in the league.
Who else?
Maybe QMBL, but that's
No.
rivalry.
QMBL lost by a point. You can't have a go at QMBL. Yeah, very much the same. Is that it's a team that have come down, and realistically they don't want to. If they come down, their first losses to a team that historically has not been has been in definitely like the lower fifth of all of Uniball for a while. Don't get me wrong, this isn't me hating on York St John. It's just the facts. I mean, that would be an absolute damager. That would be damaging, horrifically damaging for the whole Sharks. But again, I can't see it happening. Simple as that.
Never.
So moving on to Division 2 South, Surrey Stingers making their season debut, same as their opponent in the Solent Redhawks. Obviously, Solent did not finish the season that they wanted, how they wanted to do it last year, losing to the Chichester Spitfires. Very much a York St John-ish comparison there. But I mean, again, Surrey have been one of those teams that sort of slips in and out of people's promotional teams with promotional aspirations or founded promotional aspirations. So, I mean, to see what they do here against Solent, I mean, I can't see Solent being able to regroup that heavily to go up against a Surrey team that, realistically has got those promotion dreams.
One thing I will say about Solent, though, is that they've been producing some very good graphics this year, which
good
graphics. For a
graphics.
bottom of the barrel Div 2 team is impressive.
Well, this is it. This is what you want to see. If the graphics are good, look good, play good, and the rest, right? So yeah, we're going for Surrey, and then the final game to cover of this weekend is going to be the Gloucestershire Gladiators versus Aberystwyth, and as much as it is like that on the graphic, the Gloucestershire Gladiators will be travelling to Aberystwyth. That's not a fun journey to make, number one. Number two, like I said on Monday's show, the big problem for the Gloucestershire Gladiators, despite, I do, Jakob is a friend of mine, I do like Jakob, the big problem for Gloucestershire was the snapping. I think Gloucestershire will admit that was probably their biggest problem. Aberystwyth's pitch, even Aberystwyth will admit, can turn into a mud bowl very quickly. And you look outside, it's been pretty moist, let's be honest. And I think it's going to cause a lot of problems for a centre who's already got realistically the pressure of the entire team upon him. But obviously, we don't know what Aberystwyth have, and it's the start of this. What we say at the start of every season: small uni, they could produce something fantastic out of nowhere, or they could be, very, very low on numbers. So for me, I'm just because of the snapping issue, just because of that. I'd love to see the Gladiators pick up a win here, but I don't think it's going to be against Aberystwyth.
See, that's why I've gone the other way. And because we had a bit of an in-depth conversation about it on Monday night, and I think that they will have worked on that a lot this week. That was the one glaring issue, and we spoke about it, and we said it's a confidence thing. And as we also said, they didn't look awful against Huey.
No.
Against Hughes, they didn't look bad at all.
No.
And they sort that out, which I genuinely do believe they will have spent a long time working on that. I think.
Well, this is it. Like, because it's Gloucestershire, and I know the guys personally. He's like Jakob's he's not a bad player, and I've seen him snap the ball, quite proficiently at times, but it just seemed as though like very much getting his own head. I mean, I've played centre before, And I've had a game where the snaps are terrible, just for some odd reason. Like the rest of the season was fine, come into this game and they're just terrible. It could just be a one-off. It could just be a one-off, but I mean that is going to be the big problem, I think, for them. They get that under control, and I think that Gloucestershire could actually do surprisingly well considering some of the other results around the league. Worcester Royals, yeah. Yeah, that's it for my Southwest 2. Anyone got anything else?
No, nothing else to add there.
Nothing else to add. In that case, that is going to be week 3's preview done and in the book. So this is where we get to plug everything. So on Sunday at 1 p.m, it will be the Brunell Burners versus the Cardiff Cobras. No, I will not play the music for the entirety of the first quarter again. I will definitely not do that. No more music. Also, if you haven't seen, the giveaway is up now on our Instagram page. It is pinned, so do enter that to win some game balls or a Scion nutrition pack or £25 EP Sports voucher, and apparently also a signed picture of me. May or may not be a picture of me in a hot tub, apparently now.
It may.
What else have we got? You got anything else?
No. I know we mentioned it in the past. The growth of the page has been massive, and just as we thought it was dropping off, we've gone a little bit nuts again, and we're on getting nearly 1,000 followers in just over a week. Is massive, and I don't think it can be stated just how grateful we are.
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Watch the live stream. It's 1 p.m. Join us at 6:30 on Monday for the recap of week 3. And apart from that, this is going to go on Spotify later. Stay safe, have fun, enjoy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Yeah, happy Halloween.
Someone dress as chicken and send it to Cam.